Most people, anything, well, shoes, like you said, on the shirt.
Okay.
Welcome to our regular council meeting for today, November 12th, 2025. I will confirm that all members of the council have arrived and our Minister Burke is present. We'll start the meeting at 9:30. And first order of business is a territorial land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the township of Ballincollig is located on the Mississauga Anishinaabeg territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabeg. The township of Ballincollig respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Approval of the agenda. I'll read the resolution. It is recommended the Council of the Corporation of Counties of Ballincollig act as follows: that the procedural bylaw provisions be waived to include bylaw number 892025 and closed session discussions on Allenwick Civic Center long-term lease agreements as amended to the November 12th, 2025 agenda. So I guess we need to move in second to it, and then first, could I get a mover in second to add that? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, second by Councilor Ainsworth. Any discussion?
Yes. I have concerns about the communications from the Agricultural Society being discussed and closed. That was a response provided by their organization to a discussion that happened in an open public meeting. And I think for the sake of transparency, we should not be discussing that in closed.
Thank you. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
To your mail over to our clerk, maybe you could explain the process for us.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the reason that it'll be coming into close is it relates to council business and the plans and negotiations identified under Section K of the Municipal Act 239K. So while that correspondence may have been discussed at a board meeting of the Fair Board, it is a confidential matter here in the council chambers as to how they would like to deal with that and proceed with the plans and negotiations in relation to that committee for that item.
Thank you.
Thank you for your expertise, Madam Clerk.
Your copy of your handbook.
So are we receiving then new information about council action on this? That would indeed constitute it being a negotiation?
Go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, that's up to council as to how they would like to proceed and provide staff the conversations. But again, it does relate to a confidential agreement of lease agreements and contracts and plans and negotiations to be applied thereof. That is why it's going in close, and I'm further to add on the matter. If council would like to remove it from close and not vote on this amendment, and that is your prerogative at this time. However, I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. I can understand where it's negotiations, so it should be closed. At the same time, if we decide to do anything out of that, that should come into open. And we'll refer to that after we've been in closed, is my opinion. You got a mover and a seconder? Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
To you, Your Worship, I agree with Soren O'Neill, reading and looking at that on the closed agenda. That should be something out in the open.
I'll make the decision. I'd say we go into closed and then bring it out and open it up after that if there's anything should be closed. Out in the open and then look at the clerk to make sure that we stay on subject and do not get into anything that should be closed. And then after we come up, we can go back in and open it up for open discussion.
Thank you.
All in favor? Motion carried. That the agenda for the regular council meeting held on November 12th, 2025 be approved as amended. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover. Seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Seeing none, that will be duly recorded. And first of all, we have a presentation, and I believe it's gonna be online, from Pesquil and Associates, is that how you pronounce it? Pesci, pardon, Pesci. And I believe that we'll have Elizabeth Hill and Nicole Roberts on the screen to make their presentation. Are you there this morning?
Hi,
Good morning.
good morning. Nicole, are you able to put your camera on?
No, I'm not. It says it was disabled by host. There we go. Good morning.
Perfect, good.
Morning.
Thank you. No, I'm gonna hand it over to Nicole. So just to introduce ourselves, I'm Elizabeth Hill. I'm the CEO of Pesci and Associates, and we're coming to you today to talk about the compensation review that we're doing for the non-union group. Now that you've unionized portion of your employee group and you have a non-union group, having a structure for that group is important, especially from a pay equity perspective. And we're going to just introduce the project to you and who we're recommending we use for comparators for the market review, and hoping to get your approval on that. So Nicole Roberts is one of our senior associates, and I'm going to turn it over to her to go through the presentation. So we'll go through the presentation and answer questions at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you. We could get the next slide, please. Perfect. So the project mission, as we understand it, is to partner with the Township of Allnowick-Haldeman to review and update your non-union job evaluation system, which includes conducting an external market review, updating pay equity, and developing a compensation program that is internally equitable, pay equity compliant, as well as competitive to the external market. So as part of that, the project success would be to assess your current job evaluation plan and make recommendations to either develop a new updated job evaluation tools based on our recommendations, or recommending changes to the current tool. And then we'll conduct job evaluation for all non-union positions. While that's ongoing, we'll also be doing that external review of market comparators for all non-union positions. And then we'll conduct a compensation analysis. So we'll develop non-union salary grids that are internally equitable, externally competitive, and meets all legislative requirements as well. We'll provide recommendations for ancillary compensation as well. So benefits, overtime, standby, on-call pay, hours of work, vacation, sick, all of those pieces to maintain competitiveness and total compensation as well. We'll review and update the non-union pay equity plan. And then we'll provide implementation financial analysis and the process for ongoing maintenance of this plan as well. Next slide. So as part of the market survey, comparator municipalities were selected based on location. So where are you losing staff to, or where are you recruiting staff from? We also look at municipalities with similar positions, similar services, as well as similar size, so including populations and households. So the survey will be sent to comparator municipalities with a summary job responsibility for each position to assist with matching. And then market statistics will be calculated for the 50th, 60th, and 75th percentiles. Next slide. So this is the list of our proposed comparators. So that top section is your direct competitors for talent. So where you lose staff to or attract staff from. Some of these may be larger in size, but we feel it's important to gather the data from those you lose staff to and take staff from to remain competitive. The similar size and services municipalities are across Ontario of a similar size to ensure we are matching similar positions as well. So we'll leave this one up here. My next slide just says questions. So we will open it up for any questions now.
And I just want to add that we generally like to get about 10 a minimum of 10 comparators when we do surveys. So that's why we have sort of a longer list. We usually get between 70-80% participation rate. So with this number, we hope that we'll get that 10 that we're looking for.
Thank you. I can't tell who that was. Maybe it was, I believe it was Elizabeth, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yes.
But anyways, I'll go ahead and ask council, was there any questions regarding this? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Label. I just have two questions. The survey will be sent to comparator municipalities. Who will you be targeting at those, or not targeting, who will you be sending your information to assist?
We typically try and send it to human resources directly if they have them. Otherwise, we'll go to the CAO.
Thank you. I just wonder if it might be a good idea to include both, just my comment. The other question is, when I read the, slide 3, maybe you could just, explain this a little bit more to me. If summary job responsibilities will be included for all non-union positions at on call event to assist with matching. What do you mean by that?
Sure. So the way we develop our market surveys is for each position we're asking for data on, we include a summary job responsibilities directly from the job description. So just an overview of the position and what it's responsible for. And then we ask comparators to give us a percentage of match. So is it a 25 to 49% match, 50 to 74%, or 75 to 100% match? And then when we're analyzing the data, we know we can kind of weed out those, typically the below 50%. And then we know we're matching positions that are actually similar to your positions.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
Actually, mine is around that same point, because some of our management positions, for example, public works, we have the largest number of roads or kilometers of roads in Northumberland County versus some of our other departments, which are, you know, much smaller because we are one of the smallest populations. So for example, recreation. So, just help me understand a little bit about, each position then, or each job will be analyzed independently. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, we ask, we're using each non-union position for the market survey. So each position, we hope to get good data back on from your comparators.
So then we get the data for each individual position. So let's just say, to take it, you know, down the path of where we'll end up at the end. Let's say we get 10 comparators for the manager of public works. Then we do the calculation of the 50th, 60th, 70th, 5th percentile. And basically what that means is how your position compared to the other comparators. So if you're at the 50th percentile, that means that at the 50th percentile, half the comparators are above and half are below. If you're at the 60th, 40% are above and 60% are below. So it tells you what those data points are. And then we'll use those data points. So we'll make recommendations, say around whether you want to be at the 50th percentile or the 60th percentile. And we'll show you then, we use those numbers to develop your grids. So then the grids will be developed based on those data points that we get for each position.
Follow
Yes, Marilyn. I appreciate what you're saying. Mine is that I feel I need an understanding of when the job responsibilities of a managerial position are actually more demanding within a small community where you don't have an entire department versus the ones that are less demanding in our smaller municipality than a large municipality where there's just far more services being delivered within that department.
Yeah, and that's why we like to pull the similar sized ones. So if you look at the bottom list there and particularly at the land area, like the lot of those have similar or more land area than you. So, and they would be in the same boat as far as number, number of staff. So that's why, again, why we sort of pull those similar size municipalities, because, the theory is in essence that they'll have similar challenges that you're referring to.
Thank you.
Councillor Ainsworth, sorry.
Through you, Mayor. So a couple of things, I guess. One for part of this, because if I'm looking at this here, this comparison chart, if I go to the full time one, it looks like we're at the bottom of that chart as far as, we got 29 employees versus some have like 149, et cetera. Will this tell us that we're in need of other employees also? Or is there too much demand on the employees that we have? And I just wondered too, because I know this has come to council a few times. But this is going to be something that we'll use in the future, and how many times will this come up? Like once a year, once every 5 years?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I have my opinion, but we'll ask the experts what they think or what their recommendation is first. Please go ahead.
Just your point about staff numbers, this process doesn't really look at that. That's more when we do organizational reviews that we look at structure, number of staff, and compare it to other municipalities. We're really just looking at compensation on this one. And then your question around how often. So generally we recommend that organizations do a market review every 3 to 5 years.
Well, that would be, if I take the average, that would be a council term as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. The 40 and the 60% percentiles, does that go with the whole group then, or does that take into consideration one particular job where there's high demand and not very many candidates?
Yeah, that's a good question. So generally you'll land on a percentile. So you'll say, and we will ask all the comparators where they position themselves. So are they paying at the 50th, at the 60th, at the 75th? So you'll get a sense of what your competitors are doing. But the grids will be based on that percentile. There is the opportunity, though, sometimes you're absolutely right. Like there are positions that are in high demand and they're actually being paid sort of above everybody else, or being paid at a higher rate. And so you have the ability to establish, you have base grids, but then you have the ability to say this position, due to market circumstances, requires a higher pay as long as the market demands it. And so it's sort of pulled out of the grid and given its own rate that's driven by the market and just remains there as long as the market requires it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, I think you've answered all of our questions. We're looking forward to getting the report eventually, but I want to thank both of you, Elizabeth and Nicole, for your help, and we'll see you soon.
Great, thanks very much.
Okay, the resolution reads, it is recommended the Council of Corporation of Allen Sullivan act as follows: that the pay equity and compensation review presentation from Peace Pasheshi and Associates be received with information, and that the municipal comparators presented be approved for the market survey of the pay equity and compensation review. Mover and seconder. Anybody want to move? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconder. Seconded by Councilor O'Neill. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation from our good friend from the east, who we see once a year at Fort Worth, but we at least see once a year. Rhonda Bateman is gonna, make a presentation on behalf of the Lower Trent Conservation Authority. And Rhonda is the Chief Administrative Officer there. Good morning, Rhonda.
Good morning, and how
How
are
was the
you?
trip?
Trip was snowing. Should I turn that on? The trip was rather snowing.
Snowy?
Yeah. But thank you very much for the invitation to speak about our draft budget today. It's an opportunity under our consultation period for you to bring comments or give me comments to send back to my board. And you can always have the opportunity to send Mike back with further comments as they become known. And I just wanted to say that we are also using Pesce and Associates, and I didn't know how to pronounce it until we got well underway with them. Okay, so, next slide, please. So I'm just gonna outline today our budget subcommittee, facts of our budget, some of our programs, some draft highlights, municipal levy, and next steps. The province has changed it from municipal levy, it's now just called apportionment, but in keeping with the way we've done things in the past and recognizing that verbiage is important to municipalities, we keep the word levy in there. So our board of directors members on the subcommittee were Sherry Hamilton from Coyote Township, and she's our vice chair. Excuse me, Director Bobby Wright and Jeff Whalen, both of Brighton staff members were myself and our corporate services manager. The budget subcommittee met 4 times from July to September, and they went through a line-by-line investigation of our budget versions. We are currently on version 3. Thanks. So, as you know, we are a service delivery agent. Excuse me. Our spectrum of services does require a range of skills, knowledge, and education and experience. And we have I'm gonna say we have the brightest staff in Ontario. And of course, staffing is 70% of our budget, and operations and capital is about 30% overall. The we used a 2% consumer price index for this year. The cost of living adjustment was also at 2%. We had an estimated 10% increase in insurance costs for this year. We are part of a bigger insurance group through Conservation Ontario, and the insurance group themselves thought that 10% was a reasonable increase to use for this upcoming year. We're estimating 5% increase to property taxes, which is no surprise to anyone. And we're proposing no change in staffing in the programs that are paid by municipal funding. And our merits this year are at $32,000 and in fact 9 staff members. Some of our quick facts. So here's some of our, not all of our programs that you're all familiar with. The risk management official is not on there, but we can group that under source water protection. It's all one group, big family there. And I wanted to highlight in the next slide some of the increases in outreach and youth education that we have had in Alma-Cullivan. We started not last year, but the year before, to reach out more to some of our smaller municipalities. We increased our presence here quite a bit. As you can see, we've had 5 sessions at libraries and there are 4 sessions at libraries and at the Hastings Waterfront Festival. I understand that you ran into some of my staff were present there. We did have a lot of people from Alma-Cullivan attend that. So we had a booth there, and our annual events are well attended, and these are normally from all over the watershed. Our largest being our Tri-County Children's Water Festival, and I'm pretty sure that Rosemead has at least 2 classes in there every year, if not more. So that's awesome. Excuse me. And we also do in-class teaching sessions.
across the watershed as well and do come out this way as well. So, and there's some nice visuals for some of our events. Our proposed budget for 2026, including operations and capital, shows that our entire budget is only increasing by 3%. I am going to go on to, excuse me, talk about the proposed revenue sources. Our revenue sources have not gone up as nicely as we hoped. So the levy is, the reason our levy is actually increasing beyond the 3% is based on several factors, including no increases in revenue from the province since 2018, decreased revenue in regulations and planning fees. There has been a provincial, you can just flip to the next one. There's been a provincial freeze on our planning and regulatory fees. And this is year 3 of that. So we are not recouping our actual costs on our planning and regulations fee. We are also using surplus and reserves to decrease the overall budget. And some of our surplus funds are from hopefully interest income, and we had a delay in filling a vacancy, so we have some money available, and we're hoping not to use it this year. We're moving forward with that. Some of the things that are in our budget for our proposed business plan for next year include a whole bunch of updating of policies that we have in place. We have a working group at Proctor Park, and we're creating a new gathering space there, because you may know that in Proctor Park, we actually took down an existing pavilion, and because it's health and safety issues. So we're trying to rebuild a new gathering space, and we're working with the municipality on that. We're updating our standard operating procedures and contingency plans. We're undertaking training for provincial census officers. There's always training, flood forecasting, warning, and benefit sampling. So just to let you know that we have lots of new projects coming for 2026. And this is what your levy is going to. Our capital, we have quite a few capital projects coming forward, including we've migrated to the cloud, all of our files, and now we're also moving we're gonna move our GIS up there. That's a huge undertaking. We're finishing our signage plan, year 2 of our signage plan, to make sure that we have good signage in our conservation areas, and a lot of new trailhead signs will be going up just because, well, and health and safety signs that accompany those for insurance purposes. We have a flood control channel came out, and I'm not going to bore you with everything else, but there's lots going on. All right. So our total municipal category 1 funding is going up $155,860. And the next slide, the levy apportionment for that. So the proposed levy to Alma Calderman is $170,971. Your apportionment, these are calculated from the province, is at 10.38%. You are in fourth place, if you can say that. You're right in the middle. Of course, our biggest funder is Quinte West, and it's done by population and area within the boundary of our jurisdiction. So as you know, the westernmost portion of the watershed of your municipality is in Ganaraska watershed. So I just want to show you some municipal services that you get for being, what would you say, fourth in charging. surprisingly, although Queen West is our biggest funder, you can see about the municipal services through inquiries alone, that Trent Hills is far and away in the past few years, the highest in cost, in service, followed by Queen West, and then Alma Cullen quite closely behind. And so you're just on par with Brighton at this point. And then the next slide, please. So inquiries for last year, overall, Trent Hills and Queen West were very similar, and Alma Cullen was again fourth place. The one on the end called the Watershed that's when we get inquiries over the phone and we may not know where the person lives. They might just be making a general inquiry. Can I build a house next to a ravine or something like that? Which happens. And the next slide, please. And this one's a little harder to read, but I have highlighted Alma Cullen in blue. And that shows our permit numbers overall. So you're quite strong in permit numbers. And the next one is enforcement files. And again, quite strong, unfortunately, in enforcement. It went down one notch. I do not have the 2024 data on this graph. I apologize. I think it probably went up from 2023 though, because lately complaints have been, or enforcement files have been rising drastically. And the only problem with enforcement files is when we do these, we don't get paid. Municipality does end up paying for enforcement files. And we have, just to let you know, if we have to go to court, we do have a legal reserve, and we have legal in our budget to cover in any circumstance. So hopefully it never gets to the point where we have to come back to the municipality and ask for extra funding. So that hasn't happened yet. So hopefully we'll keep that going. So as far as municipal levies overall, the increase to category 1 is $14,732. An increase in category 2, which is your RMO, is only $236. And the program category 3, we have a decrease of $648. We're going to be using some reserves to prop that up a bit. So the total budget increase is $14,320. So that roughly equates to about $13.14 per $100,000 of assessment, or almost $25 per person, $56 per house.
Go ahead.
Just before we leave that slide, when I'm looking at that, I believe the calculations are by a factor of 10. So if you actually did receive 2486 from each of our 7,000 residents, that would far exceed the 14,000 there. However, if you got $2.48 from each of us, that would give us the 14,000.
We're using the census population data. So yeah, if we're right.
Yeah, can you have that?
I will have that
People
check for sure.
Thank you.
It's $2.48. Aren't we a bargain? Okay, so next steps, I'm here to receive your comments. I'm on my dog and pony show, so this is my annual event. And if you want me to come more often, I will definitely come more often because I don't always want to be here asking for money. I'll be presenting comments back to the board on December 11th, and they will either decide to or direct us to make changes to the budget or approve the budget as it's the draft budget as it sits.
So just so I understand, and this to do with Councilman O'Neill's question, the overall change is not changing. It's just the way it's split up between the residents. Is that correct? Is that the way you're explaining it?
No, I'm rereading this, and it must be the copies kicked in, because I see that the top portion and the bottom portion are giving me two different pieces of information. So I was thinking that the bottom portion was focused on the increase, but that's the total amount, including
yeah.
the previous amount,
Yes, the total.
plus the increase.
Yeah.
So the increase is indeed in the neighborhood of $2 per person, above and beyond what we were paying before, but that number is what we were paying before, plus the $2.
Right, that's good.
Got it.
Alright.
Good, glad the coffee kicked in.
We're gonna say where's your coffee going? Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Deputy Warden, or Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Carla. Over to Rhonda. Rhonda, thank you for this, budget. It's been well researched and the pencils have been sharpened, so thank you for that. I'm really happy to see an increase in the, youth education. That's where we need to try to make things different and change. When you're using your reserves, are you confident that, they will be replenished? Because I know the last, term, they were kept drawing from the reserves, and then you were at a point where you were really struggling. There wasn't much there. So is that, the way you're doing that, you're confident that is a good way to go?
The reserves we're using as little as possible, and we do replenish our reserves every year under a capital asset management plan. We have, so reserves for, youth education, we do have a tidy reserve there. Our biggest concern was using surplus that may or may not be there. So every year, save one, since I've been here, we've put surplus in our budget. And we can't guarantee until the audit is completed as to what degree of surplus we have. But we do have an indication through interest income, which will not be sustainable over the long term, that we will have some. And we did have, we had 80,000 surplus built into the current budget. We haven't dipped into it yet, so if we don't dip into it, we still have that, but I can't guarantee that we won't be doing it.
Thank you. Thank you, Marlo.
Councilor Kingsford.
Yes, to you, Mayor. Thanks, Ron. It's good to see you today.
I'll see you tomorrow.
And, you know, with this budget, it's, just for a little bit of background, you know, it's been kicked around down the board a couple times here. And they've gone back and tightened up their belts. And I think they've done a pretty good job. I almost don't even like calling it a percentage, you know, because it's 10% or 8%, whatever it is for us, compared to what the municipality would be much different. So like I say, it's about $14,000 increase for this year for our municipality. And I believe our municipality is about 88% in lower Trent coverage.
Yeah, I believe so. Or more.
Or more. Yeah, so, on top of, the new things that are coming out, you know, with the lots of grants and, with Bill 68, there's going to be another kick in the pants, right? So for all the conservation areas. And, we don't know what that's gonna bring. But, like everything else, in our world, cost is going up and our money's not matching it. So, it's important that we support Lower Trent because of how big they are to us. And the fact that, if we had to do all this stuff ourselves, it would cost us. So, I look at it as a pretty decent increase, and for the area that they cover and the service that they give us. And, where would we be if we didn't have that? So we gotta look at the big picture there too also, so, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I have a couple of questions there, and regarding service levels. I see, you know, what we talked about, but I think there was a spike in general in 2022. I'm wondering if that was why that is, and the other question is, I'm not sure who is considered a service. If the township calls you and asks for something, that's a service. What about Joe Public, like myself? Is that included in that service?
We do service the public, but they do have user fees.
Okay,
Whereas the municipality, your user fees are through the levy.
okay. So does that service numbers mean everybody?
Mhm.
Okay, and a portion would be charged through our levy and the rest goes to the, which makes sense. So I was happy to hear that because I wasn't sure. And I was hoping the levy wasn't paying for all of those.
Oh, goodness, no,
But,
no, we, our budget, no, it would be way too much.
And Mike mentioned Bill 68.
Mhm.
Do you have any idea what that's, do they share any thoughts with you on that?
No more than that they've shared with the press, but now there's an environmental registry, posting about I'm gonna say consolidation of conservation authorities from 36 to 7 regions. And how that plays out at this point, we don't know.
We could be moving east to west, we don't know.
We know what our proposed consolidation is.
Okay.
So it would be, the Ganaraska, Central Lake Ontario, which is next to Ganaraska to the west. It would be Kawartha, Otonabee, ourselves, the Crow, and Quinte Conservation.
Well, I think you've named off about 7.
There's 7, we have 7, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're not sure how it's going to be governed or how it's going to be, financially, run. I don't know how to say that nicely. There's no indication, so the province is creating an agency, a provincial conservation, agency to oversee everything, but we don't know what that means on the ground, because they did say that the funding formula would stay the same. But when the region is that big, I don't know how it's gonna affect each individual municipality.
It is nice, in my opinion, it's nice to hear that they haven't taken into consideration the watersheds and that feed Lake Ontario by the sound of it, and all of the lakes and the part of the water to the north is coming down, so they're kind of all tied in somehow together.
Yeah, they have done it on a watershed basis, which is great. And so our watershed includes everything that flows into, excuse me, into the Bay of Quinte, basically, except for Cataraqui. But if you read, not here to criticize anybody, but they actually said that the Cataraqui River flowing in was part of our region, and it's not. They put them to the east, so.
And I have one final comment, and I'm going to echo what the deputy mayor, maybe someone else has said it too, is that you've really done a good job of helping our kids. And I appreciate that because 2 or 3 years ago, I see names up there and never seem to slow down and follow. So I do appreciate that you're doing that. And I agree with the deputy mayor as well, is that it's the kids that are going to pick this up and carry it for us, and because it's closer to their hearts than some other people. So I encourage you to do that. And I would suggest that you're trying, and I don't know if they have to apply to you or you can suggest to them, but the schools can use that as well. So.
Yes, we make it available for schools. It's on our website. You can book an appointment and we'll match whatever curriculum that is, whatever grade they want to look at. So we do it so that the children are actually learning according to the curriculum as well. So that's
Good to hear. Thank you very much. You're done.
I just want to add that we had an open house here, or an evening of learning here at the center for adults, and it was well attended and well appreciated as well. So, yeah, it's great that there's so much for kids, but definitely there's adults who wanted to come and ask questions as well. So,
yes, we like to do that. I don't think adults get enough attention.
Councilor Ruth, you have a comment?
Yes, you were actually a question and then a comment. First of all, thank you, Rhonda, for coming here to council and presenting this budget. And I guess my first question would be, if we go to slide number 5, it talks about merits at 32K affecting 9 staff members. What does that exactly mean?
So, our staff get merits based on their the length of time they've been there and their performance reviews. And there's a couple of staff members who are up for, a job reevaluation.
Okay, thank you. And I guess a comment, I guess, every year you come here and there's an increase and we all understand and budgets are tight with everybody, whether it's the county, municipal, whatever, and us as counselors hear from taxpayers. When I looked at your presentation the other night and did a little bit of research, I guess I'm a little concerned that and these numbers stand to be corrected, and hopefully Mike can take this back to as comments from here. In 2021, we were paying roughly $106,000 to Lower Trent. 5 years later, now we're paying $176,000 roughly. That's a 66% increase over 5 years. Now, give or take, I'm going by the budget numbers that we were given from so I'm not exactly sure, but I guess at that rate, Ron, it's unsustainable. We can't keep 66% in 5 years. In my view, it's unsustainable. We can't keep doing this. So I know we all talk about you provide good service and everything like that, but there comes a time when the taxpayers are gonna say enough is enough. And for me, at 66%, and like I said, that's just my comment going back with Mike, is we need to really start to tighten budgets and look at things. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Councilor Booth. Any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
It's just that I am anticipating, because of these, amalgamations that the province is doing, that the province is going to tell us next year, whatever it is, and that's that.
Well, I hope that they're going to recognize it's been since 2019 that they've contributed anything. And
I agree.
And to you, Councilor, that's a big reason why they shot up like this, because the province hasn't provided the same amount. Oh, no, go ahead.
Thank you. I guess to answer back to that is when I do the research, for example, between Lower Trent and Ganaraska, at the same time, Ganaraska over the same time period only went up 11.23%. So, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I don't buy that. I mean, when I compare it against somebody else, then their, raises have gone up 12%, let's say, to 66. So it's just, I think we all, and I'm not, I appreciate you coming here and listening to the comments. I mean, we hear from the taxpayers too, that we need to clean up our backyard too, that we're no different with our increases to the taxpayers and they're getting fed up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Booth. Rhonda, thank you very much for your comment.
I just wanted to say it's really difficult to compare CA to CA because we deliver the different services and have different revenue streams. And Ganaraska is very fortunate with some of the revenue streams they have that we don't have. We don't have, and this is not Ganaraska, but we don't have like paid parking. We don't have, and our board members. This comes up every year, and the board members say, no, we want free access to our conservation areas. If we try to pay to park, like most of the other CAs do, we might make money, but the board prefers public access over money, which is difficult. We don't have campgrounds, we don't have things like that.
It sounds to me like your board is different than several other ones, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but your board doesn't believe in user fees.
Not for access, no.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much money that would make, but I think when you're looking at Ganaraska, they do have a recreational stuff that you probably don't have to that.
Yeah, they're lucky that they have the forest center and they charge for programs and stuff. All of our youth education is free.
Oh, do you have a comment? Are you just just so we have a little bit better understanding, is 11% that you're suggesting, is that matchable to places across the province, or are we sticking out?
Oh, at your 8.4, we're probably stepping out.
We're sticking out?
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's good to know anyways. Thank you very much, Rhonda, for your coming up, and have a safe trip home,
Thank you.
and, good luck in your budget. Okay, I'll read the resolution that the presentation from Rhonda Bateman, Chief Executive Administrative Officer regarding the Lower Trent Conservation Draft 2026 budget be received for information. Can I get a mover? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor O'Neill. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We're gonna move on to approval of the minutes, and the first minutes we have is from the council meeting of the 14th of October, 2025. It is recommended the minutes of the following meetings be adopted. Oh, I'm sorry, and the one of October 28th as well. Remember, the minutes be adopted for the regular council, October 14th and October 28th. Can I get a mover second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Booth. Are there any questions or comments regarding those? All in favor? Motion is carried. Next one we have is approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes of October 21st. And the resolution reads that the committee of the whole meeting minutes on October 21st, 2025 be approved. Did I get a mover and seconder for those? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Is there any business arising from those minutes? Do we have any comments? Okay. All in favor? Pardon me? Moving on to business arising. Okay. Included in the business arising from the previous minutes are, let me see. There are 10 recommendations. So. Okay, thank you. And so we'd like to, if we can, approve them all at one, but if there's someone you want to pull, then for discussion, then we'll pull them out. Okay? So. It's a little bit different, that's why we use a little bit of the last two. And so I guess at least this one. The biggest recommendation. Okay. So it's all under the same process, so I'm gonna read the resolution that they be approved. And if you have anything else, anything you want to pull, let me know now, please. Eureka.
Oh, sorry, I was going to make a motion that we, that recommendations 1 to 12 of the October 21st, 2025 committee of the whole meeting be approved.
Okay. Thank you. Can I get a second in that? Second by Councilor Booth. Any discussions? Councilor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor. Recommendation 8, the 2026 annual meeting schedule with removing the January 21st, 26th committee of the whole meeting. Is that just for that date, or are we talking reschedule for all 26?
That's just for the, we're canceling that one of the, correct me if I'm wrong, we're canceling that one on the 26th.
Okay.
And then the rest of them will follow through like we are accustomed to. The other comments? none, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. Moving on to committee reports. And the first one is report from development regarding development charges, request for relief. And Dawn, I believe you've got a little bit of perhaps a report there for us.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
You yourself, the Washington Council, during the October 21st committee of the whole, I was asked to bring forward some additional information regarding this particular property and the application from the owner for relief from development charges. I presented my report here, the dates of when the demolition permit was applied for, subject to an initial fire. Time had gone by. The applicant had made a new permit application for a new home that fell outside a 60-month window of reprieve for development charges. The information that the owner was provided was delivered to him from previous staff at that time, that development charges were not going to be implemented. And the only other information I was not able to locate or find was what that proposed building permit timeframe was to be. I do not have the ability to waive development charges as it is a bylaw, as approved by council, and that's where we're at today.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Dawn? Seeing none. Thank you. Oh, members of council, you have any comments? I should read the resolution first. It is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen Sullivan act as follows. The council received report BLD 202507 for development charges, request for relief for information. And then I think, which we've done, and then we're gonna have to make a decision. Unless.
No, we haven't received the information yet.
Well, yeah, I know, we're gonna have to receive information and then go on from there. So let's, Diane, move in a second for receive from information. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth, all in favor? Okay, that's passed. Now, where do you want to go from here? Let's open up for debate. Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, after reading through this file again and then listening to the gentleman that presented, my comment is I don't think it's fair that we should be charging the development fund on this gentleman. I'm sure if he would have known, if the department would have told him way back when that, listen, you've got 5 years, then I'm sure, you know, everybody would think, okay, I've got to do it. I don't see anywhere where it shows that we said, you know, don't forget you've got 5 years. So I guess looking at that, I think we should be waiving this fee at this time. And in the future, if we're dealing with any of these, I think in communications with people, we should remind them to just say, listen, if this is happening to you, then you've got a 5-year window. And if we would have told this gentleman that, then I could see sticking to the rules, but it just doesn't seem that it happened this time. Thank you.
Councillor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor. You know, this has come up a few times in our terms here that we've had to deal with past issues that have happened, and now it's left for us to try to clean it up. So I concur with Councillor Booth on his statements, and that you know, I would be willing to make a motion that we waive these development charges for this gentleman.
Thank you. Other comments? Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Marlo.
Or point of order, shouldn't we get a seconder and then continue the discussion?
Did you make a motion?
I can make that motion.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Second by Councillor Booth. Go ahead,
Thank you, Mayor Lobo. I have a question for Don. I'm wondering if you could return to the table.
Yes.
And this is just a secondary question, Mayor Lobo. What we're dealing with here, what have we put in place that this doesn't happen again? I know you were here, but addressing it in the future, because that's kind of a bit of a concern that, you know, we don't want to do cleanup all the time.
If I may, through the mayor's council, what I can say is, one of my things going forward in 2026 is I'm gonna be looking at the building bylaw, how it's worded. I will be taking into consideration some of these learned events as we're coming along. It's also going to be, and not for the sake of the homeowner who's here today, it just happens to come up to this gentleman's situation, but going forward, I will have to make a part of the department practice to make sure that when people come in, we ask the right questions.
Right, thank you.
Councillor Booth.
Through your worship, since Don's here, would you happen to know then, Don, off the, what's the word I want to use, would you happen to know, is there any other places like this that now have been demolished or burnt down or something that we currently have that we could head off at the pass, or you're not knowledgeable that we know of?
Again, together, but not at this time. I did, the only other situation very similar to this, there was a fire earlier this year up in Roseneath, where the applicants did come in and make a demolition permit, and they followed up quite shortly afterwards with a new building permit. I am not aware at this time of any outstanding properties where, as the bylaw very clearly says, has been legally demolished with the demolition permit that's sitting in waiting. I'm not aware of any.
Okay, good. And as the deputy mayor said, I'm sorry, I mean, you're looking, you weren't on the watch when this happened, right? So in no way does it reflect on you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
When I look at this and reflect upon this, I see two sides to it. First is the need for the public to have accurate information. This has come up time and time again. It's one of the goals of the software from the building department and the planning department, not just here, but across and in collaboration with our neighbors across Northumberland County. So yes, I've heard this often. Where do we get this information as members of the public to make sure we know and understand the process? Fair enough, something I've heard often. On the other hand, what is a reasonable expectation? So I do not think it's a reasonable expectation that something is open indefinitely or forever. Personally, I would have thought it would have, you know, if I didn't know, my personal one would have been 2 to 3 years that we need to proceed and do something. We're now 6 years from then. Yeah, I don't think it is reasonable to view it as an indefinite open permit.
I'll take it, comment if you don't mind. I understand the problem that this gentleman has, and it was unfortunate. I do want to tell you though that there was, in this term of council, someone else had a problem with this, and I don't believe there was a fire, but the 60 months were missed, and council, I don't think it even come to council. I think staff handled it, said it's 60 months, and that's what the rules say. I'm just making you aware of that. And the other thing, to carry on a little bit with what Mary Catherine said, I had the privilege of riding through with one of the OPP officers recently, and he pulled over a person that had an expired license on it. The police or didn't have any police anymore, but basically, and when he got back, and this was I don't want to make a big thing, it was a little old lady, so, and I'm not picking on people that way, so please don't take it that way. He come back to the car and said, yes, this is what happened. The rules say that you have to be doing on time. and if you don't do it, there's a fine. And so he looked at it and said it was 4 months since that person had failed to do the job and register. And he said, we'll go in 2 weeks, you know, those things can happen, the weather, this, that, and the other type thing, but to leave it wide open is, would cause for lots of problems, in my opinion. Councilor Booth.
Yeah, that comment through you, your worship, and I totally agree with what you're saying, Councillor O'Neill and the mayor. I'm not saying that we should, remove that. I'm just saying that I think we need to make sure that we have better communication, that when this does happen in the future, that we should be informing the people. And like I said, if that was the case here, if this person was informed that they had 5 years and they came to us a year later, then my decision would be totally different. So I agree, Councillor O'Neill, 5 years sounds very reasonable, and hopefully this is the last time we'll ever have to deal with this. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
For you, Mayor, so just a comment too, you know, when we first started our term, we had all kinds of issues with this and bylaw. You know, right now, Don, you're a breath of fresh air, and you have been since the day you were hired. And, our bylaw officer too is the same thing. So we haven't had complaints, since we put these two issues in place. And, so kudos to both of that department.
Thank you. Anybody else have any further comments? Okay, so we got a mover and a seconder. Can you repeat what the motion was, please?
Through Mr. Mayor, for the motion that was moved by Councillor Ainsworth and seconded by Greg Booth, I did just add in the specifics to make sure it was identified for this particular owner and this particular property. But the motion is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Mullen acts as follows: that the township portion of the development charges be waived for Roth Green for property located at 71 Langs Road.
There was your comment?
I do. So I'm more, I think, I'm listening to this discussion, the less comfortable I am with agreeing to this, because basically agreeing to this is saying, sure, anybody can come to us and say, you didn't tell me, therefore I don't have to pay it. I mean, yeah, we'll leave it there.
Thank you. Councillor Ainsworth, have you first?
To you, Mayor. The difference here is the landowner has to prove in his email that he was not notified that this was a 60-month window, and he wasn't told that.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor Lobo. Would it be possible, Dawn, to put a time limit now of when this shall be done? And if the homeowner goes over, that extension, then the, development charges would be in full force.
If I may, through the mayor council, actually, the development charges bylaw already has it written in there 60 months. It's pretty clear. It says that if a building has been legally demolished or constructed, in case of raised by fire, and the permits have been issued, it says right in the development charges, you have 60 months for reapplication, without having to pay development charges. It's already written in there. It just, going back to what was brought up earlier, would be good practice going forward, is that it'll be my job to ensure when people come in and make these inquiries, that the information as provided to best answer their questions is given.
Mayor Lobo,
Yes.
just to follow up, in this specific case, for this specific, building, rather than leaving it open for the specific build, would it be appropriate to put a specific time limit when this shall start and when it shall finish?
I don't believe, sorry again, because I don't believe it would be required in this case. It's my understanding, and I'll be speaking with the property owner more so, that this project's going to go ahead. everything is ready to go for Mr. Green. The permit is waiting to go out the door. He's obviously waiting for this, date today to go through. And then I have to also provide, an email to the county to let them know our decision, because there's also a county portion development charges. And I've spoken to the treasurer of the county of Northumberland, and they're waiting to see what today's decision is. To probably affect the county portion as well. So, and I believe, and again, speaking to the property owners, that this will go ahead. He's being very excited about this project, and just want to get through this financial hurdle or misunderstanding or miscommunication to get the project going. I'm not concerned that the project or the permit's gonna be sitting in my office for another year. I think it'll be one of these things that he'll either say, okay, I'm coming in to make payment, or as most people, they may come and say, I'm withdrawing my application.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other comments? I have one. I tend to agree with Mary Copper. Councilor O'Neill, I think we're putting an awful lot of responsibility on our staff to hand out that information. If they don't hand it out, et cetera, or it's not clear, who's responsible? Oh, my final comment. All in favor? Motion is opposed. Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 10.2, fees and charges bylaw update planning fees, PLN 2025-60, fees and charges bylaw update, and Tracy's on the line. Okay, Tracy's on the line if we have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Councilor Booth.
Do you,
Can you hear us, Tracy?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go
Perfect.
ahead, Councilor Booth.
through your worship to Tracy, I'm just wondering, Tracy, and we've had this come up before with staff reports when they're talking about fees and things like that. Could this go back to you to show us what the changes are from the 2024 fees? And if there was any brand new additions, because this is just telling us what the 2025 fees are. So for example, I'll use the official plan amendment. It's $5,000. What was it last year? Was it 5? Was it 4? Whatever. And then you talk about some MZO things in there, and that which I'm thinking are new, but I'm not sure. Could we have the report indicate to us that these are new charges that we never charged before? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Booth. Do you have a comment on those, Tracy?
Yes, thank you through the mayor. The fees that have been added are new fees. So there hasn't been a proposed change to our typical standard fees that we would see for applications that you see through Committee of Adjustment, like a consent application, a typical zoning application. These are new fees that have been introduced for the major official plan amendments, the listing for the zoning orders, and then a number of related subdivision fees that are associated with final approval, so that when I'm doing work on the agreements, we're recuperating costs for the time spent on that work. In addition, we've included a minimum distance separation calculation fee where it's not accompanied by an application. We do get residents that come in that ask for assistance with that, and it is time-consuming work that is involved in helping those residents out, and it's a nominal fee of, I believe, $50 that we're proposing. I hope that clarifies your question, and I can provide a copy of the bylaw that's in existence now if you like.
Thank you, Tracy. Go ahead.
Just to comment again, so thank you, Tracy, and that's why I'm saying, I would just like to know that if there was changes, that's all, like, do you know, just off the top of your head, how many in this updated planning fees is brand new that has been added, and how many changes were actually made to what we had currently and it's being, charged more, I guess? Would you happen to know those numbers? Like, how many are brand new in this report that were not on it before?
Well, if you like, I could go through the attachment line by line and list them out for you.
No, I think what I would rather see is it just come back to us to show, as we have in the past, just for you to easily highlight it for us to say, these 6 things are brand new and these 5 things are an increase from last year. That's what I think it's easier instead of you spending your time to go through these individually.
I could do that, but if you look at the headings on the attachment, it should be pretty easily deciphered out. Like under the heading of official plan, there's only one new fee for major official plan amendments. There's a new section titled Minister's Zoning Order. Under the subdivision section, there are the fees after the deposit list, the deposit item number 21. Those are new fees that have been added. Under site plan, we have the new site plan residential unit fee, so that's new. So I would expect that it's easily deciphered. Does that help?
I'm gonna pull rank here a little bit, but I know, because I looked at the previous one, because I went on and on. There's not that many changes, however, I think the question is reasonable, and we should, if Tracy, if you can provide that information, what was in the previous one, then all council can take a look at it, and I would suggest we defer until we get that information.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna take a 5-minute break.
Mm. 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 Yeah. Hi. Okay, I can better answer the question. I'm just highlighting the differences here. Yeah. Okay. 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 Okay, thank you. Okay, bye. Mm. Mm.
Okay, we're back at council, and we're still working with the fees and charges bylaw. And I believe we were asking questions of staff. Councillor Booth, do you have any further questions?
Just to make a comment is that I don't want to hold up the bylaw fees and changes. So, just that if it can come to us, you know, I still want to go through with this and pass it so that it doesn't get held up. And that just in the future, would like to be able to see when staff are handing us reports to show what the change is, if there was any, and if there was anything new. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you hear that, Tracy?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes?
If through the mayor, if you would like, I can go through the list right now and highlight the changes.
Okay.
Okay. So if you turn to
Comment on it. I don't want you to spend your valuable time, Tracy, going over the stuff. I'm fine with the report and everything there, just in the future, that's all. And I think Councillor O'Neill wanted to make a comment too about it.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
I'm wondering if, we can make an amendment here or a separate motion that whenever there's going to be fee changes or financial changes, that even bylaw changes, that we receive the existing and the proposed in the report that comes forward.
Thank you. Councillor Eastwood.
Through you, Mayor.
It's point of order. I believe you had an answer, but I didn't hear the answer.
There wasn't a question, it was actually just whether we had, already approved the move, or approved the resolution, but we haven't done that yet.
No, but my question was, can an amendment be made or a separate motion made?
There's been no motion on the floor. So yes, you can absolutely amend or do what you wish.
Or which is the appropriate path for mine?
You want the clerk to answer that? The clerk will answer that, please, thank you.
Through Mr. Mayor, at this point, I wouldn't recommend it being an amendment. I'd recommend it being a standalone motion. Because
Okay.
it doesn't relate to what, the recommendation from staff is. So if it's a separate direction, that's the way to go, be a separate.
Thank you.
I'll be back to you in a moment. Councillor Angel, do you have a comment?
Yes, I do, through you, Mayor. Just a couple things. When I look at the notes at the bottom and it talks about major and minor and stuff, I wonder if that can explain a little more to me, because I guess my concern would be, are we the leader in this or are we the follower in this? So versus, you know, this is going to be some extra cost to developers and hopefully not to just single family dwellings if they're just like in the minor category. And the other part of me that's thinking is if this is too much, are we pushing developers away to another township? So that's why I say, are we all doing this as neighbors? Is this something that everybody's doing?
Thank you. Tracy, can you respond to that? Hello, Tracy?
Hi, sorry, I had muted. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, through the mayor. We did have a look at the official plan amendment fees that are, or sorry, the fees in general that other municipalities within Northumberland County have to have a more comparable rating of our fees. It's not expected that the new fees would apply to the typical applications that we see if somebody's, looking to have a consent application with a rezoning. Those fees are staying the same. It would the official plan amendment as an example, there's the major official plan amendment fee that would be for something that is out of the ordinary for us to see. So if somebody decided they wanted to develop a subdivision in a rural area, which doesn't conform with our policies, that would be where we would be applying that fee. And fees are set to be cost recovery for the work that we do, so that it's the work that is done for a development application is not being paid for primarily by the tax base. So planning fees are intended to be cost recovery. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
I think that explains an awful lot, Tracy. Thank you. Anybody else have any further questions or comments for Tracy? Thank you, Tracy. You can hang on for hear the debate, but I think we hear you. We've got the information that we needed for you right now. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we want to make an amendment from what I understand.
Sorry, no direction from
Oh,
our
yes.
clerk.
That's fine. So we got a motion on prepared then? Councilor Booth.
I'll make the motion that the recommendation here that the bylaw be brought forward for council for consideration to amend the fees and charges bylaw. So that we can get it approved today.
Okay, I'll give a seconder. Second by Councilor Ainsworth. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that when reports come to council that recommend changes, the current document and the proposed changes be included.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a second for that? Second by Councilor Booth. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next, we have a report from the Public Works. That was awarded tender T062025, replacement of a Public Works tandem axle truck. Stefan, got your report. Thank you very much. Council may have some questions, but I thought it was pretty clear. So come on up to the front and, we have any questions, we'll give them to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Anybody have any questions?
There was just one point I did want to add. I don't believe if I included it in the report, so through you, Mayor. So this is to replace an existing truck within our fleet, truck 1910, which is an old Sterling. So this is what would be pretty well replacing.
Okay. How old is that truck?
2010. So about 15, 16 years old.
Thank you.
No,
Yes.
I have a quick question with the, now's time.
For Stefan, sure.
Thank you. Will you be, what is your plans for the truck, Stephanie? Will it go to the site to be sold, and what do you think you'll realize in, purchase?
So yes, likely a truck 1910, once this truck has been acquired, it would be sold. We are in the process of wanting to retain one other truck as a spare for our fleet here, so it's between 19 truck and our 09 currently. But yes, one of those trucks would likely be sold, and we would retain one as a spare to have in our fleet in case we have a breakdown or run into complications through our operation.
What would your expectation be for cost? What would you get that from them? And over dinner out?
With how old so through you, Mayor, with how old that truck is, it's, I don't know if it would fetch a large quantity of money. It's tough to pinpoint, and I'd have to probably, maybe have my mechanic look over and what the problems are with that truck and where we would be able to sell it and who would be able to really have a purpose for it.
Thank you.
And you put it on tender, government tender or whatever?
Yeah, so it'll pretty well, it can go on GovBids, we'll post them on Kijiji, there's all sorts, so we'll put it out there and have a minimum bid.
Thank you. Any further questions? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through your worship, just to Stefan, just refresh my memory, Stefan, because the budget was a while ago. What did we budget? Are we in the range of 462,000? Did we budget that? Are we low, high, or?
So we are, there's 600,000, so through you, Mayor, so there's $600,000 allocated for the capital budget for vehicles. So we've got the $450,000 here. I know we do get our rebate. Then we have the one ton truck that's also would be included within that budget as well. So yes, to answer your question, we should be within our budget allocations.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any further questions? I'll read the resolution. That the tender T062025 be awarded to Winslow Geronimo Motors Limited for the supply of one new tandem axle, cab, and chassis truck equipped with a power, one-way plow, wing, and all-season combination dump body / spreader in the amount of $462,841, inclusive of the HST as a sole bidder, meeting specifications or required equipment, and that a bylaw be brought forward to authorize the mayor clerk to execute an agreement with Winslow Geronimo for the purchase of equipment outlined in tender T062025 and the approved capital funds from the 2025 capital budget be carried forward for the 2026 capital budget in the amount of $462.41, $841.22 to accommodate the scheduled 2026 delivery of the vehicle. Did I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councilor Booth. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. I have one, and I don't expect you to have the answer, but how much are the trucks going up? Are they going up 5% 1 year to the next, or?
Yeah, so for you, Mayor, I'd have to look at our past ones, but I want to say anywhere from approximately about a $70,000 to $100,000 increase over the past few years. There's been quite an increase in our tandem vehicles. It's been substantial, yes.
Yeah, I remember the 350s.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Several years ago.
That's when gas is fun for our sons.
So I even moved and seconded to that. Oh, I did that.
Got it.
Further discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. Next, we have the arena floor replacement funding financial report. And, I guess if we have any questions, anybody have any questions or comments regarding this report? Go ahead, Mike.
After you, Mayor. No, it's great to see this report come to council. It has everything in there that we talked about with the motion and where we can go with, getting funds and the fundraising committee, and I'm looking forward to getting the fundraising committee off the ground, and our first event's gonna be the Christmas, the Christmas market. We're gonna have a booth in there hopefully, and, getting this all going. So, thanks staff for bringing this all to us in timely fashion, and hopefully we can get the RFP out pretty quick.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor O'Neill.
I hardly know where to begin with this. On May 20th, this council asked for a financial plan for this project. 6 months later, we have this plan in front of us that is not a plan at all. So I have several questions, but first, how do we strike a balance between this project and all the other pressures in the township?
That's a pretty loaded question, I would say. I don't know what the right answer is.
I mean,
Scott, can you respond to that, sir?
I don't have anything to contribute.
Anybody else want to answer that question? What's your next question?
so I did some calculations because the only calculation that was provided in this report is the monthly amount that would be. So if we carry through on the 5 years to annually, that is $849,204, which would be a levy increase of approximately 9.8%. I want to qualify, this is just me doing basic math. I'm certainly not a treasurer and I stand to be corrected on these. Anyway, if my calculations then follow that the average annual increase for the average property assessment here, which is 411,000, would be approximately $268 per household, I should say. And the total cost of replacement would come in at $4,240,741. Then, you know, it goes through to the 30 years, which is brought to us today saying that it would be $20,130 per month, which would annually be $241,560, which is a smaller increase, but it's still a 2.8% increase to our levy, and it would be each household above and beyond what we are already paying for the arena, a further $76.57. And the total project, because of the interest costs of carrying it for that long, would come in at $7,204,284. Those are really big numbers. We've got to fit this in with our 2026 budget when we're going to our ratepayers. We have to fit this in with our asset management plan. Again, I want this to be successful, and we need a successful plan for this to proceed.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor. So just in general, like, you know, we have multiple facilities that need to be fixed, not just the arena. This just happens to be the most important one right at this moment. You know,
I should read the resolution before we continue on, because we are debating by the sound of it. It is recommended that the Council of the Corporation of Township of Elwood Golden act as follows. The council received report FIN 202509 arena floor replacement fundraising finance report for information, and the staff be directed to move forward with issuing an RFP for the arena floor replacement and structural inspection project. Can I get a mover second? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stolberg. Go ahead, Mike.
thank you, Mayor. So because some of these projects are so expensive, this is the process I think we're going to have to do with most of them. Because we don't have $5 million for this, or $2 million for our township office, or fixing these community centers that have been let go. You know, our public libraries need work, and we're going to have to do this kind of process probably for each and every one of them as an option. So I get the fact, and I get the concerns from Councillor O'Neill, but this is important to the community. This thing could blow up on us any day. It's not like we come here every month and the lights are on. The arena is in need of getting through. And I commend staff for putting this together. You know, could there be more to it? You know, honestly, when I look at this here, over 30 years, $20,000, if that would be the interest for it, that's a pretty small price to pay. If that's what we were going to do, if we picked that option. Right, to get this on the go. And this whole thing is looking at if it's the total amount that we got. No? If we've got 10 months for the fundraising committee to hit the ground running, you know, what would happen if a miracle only come up with 35 or 40 million dollars? Wishful thinking, but if it happened, this whole thing would change the dynamic just like that. So, again, I commend staff for putting this together and working on it and bringing it to council. We know what we need to do it, and this is the process that we have to go with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Godwin?
I think Councillor Ainsworth, you made my exact point for me. We need to be looking at this as part of the asset management plan, and not just for our facilities, but for our roads. And if we look at our asset management plan, the one that we have currently, which is from 2021, so it's quite outdated, but that's what we have. So I will reference the fact that we had a $27 million infrastructure deficit in 2021. And I can only imagine that it has grown over our term of council. We have to do this. It has to fit in with every other pressure that we are facing.
I agree, we do have to face this with every other one that we're facing, but that doesn't excuse that you should not go ahead, in my opinion. I got a couple of comments. First of all, on the rate, payment. I'm personally hoping I know we're gonna get another 20 years out of that. But I don't think we should be taking the loan out for 30 years if we're only gonna use it for 20 years. That would be my concern. Secondly of all, the $3.7 million, $5 million, if we're going to get that, Mike, in the next couple of weeks, but I think we are agreeing a little bit with that. However, I know that, we have not looked at development charges yet, and we're getting a project moving forward on that so that we can take a look at that. And I would not want to rob all of our development charges to pay for an arena, but you can take some of it. There are some properties that we've looked at, and I don't think we've got anything formal, but Dave and I go around a couple of times and we're supposed to be some responses back that we could probably sell well, I know we could sell, but we just don't want to get anything. There's other things that we have to consider too. We may have to change some of the services that we're currently doing, but it can be done. That's why it's in sense here. Here you go.
Sorry, I just heard that the mayor and the CAO were driving around making ideas about how we can sell things without it coming to all of council.
All council had a chance to respond to that. Did you respond? Okay, we're getting way off the topic.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd just like to add, that we have put fundraising in place for this. And one of the, when this council came together in 2022, we were faced with numerous issues that 2019, it was put to a council. The arena, either fix it or close it. It just stagnated. Now we're at the situation where we've decided, we've got fundraising in place. This is how we have to move forward. I would like to also say at the last, at our first and I'll say the first meeting because I can't say the other word right now. The excitement, we have put together a team that comes from all different, I say walks, but they all have experience in different avenues. There's a lot of excitement there. Everyone was talking about what they could do. I'm really excited, and 3.75 million is scary. But the excitement and the ideas and the experiences that have come around that table, that I'm very hopeful that, money will be coming through in the next year. I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know how much will be coming, but we have made a decision. And there's a lot more decisions to be made because none have been made. So I'm very confident in moving forward with this and starting the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to make one other comment. If we were expecting anything from the province, in order to get anything from the province, we have to have a plan in place. And without that, you're not going to get anything, grants or anything like that. So I think it's important that we have a plan in place. And, you know, we don't even know what the RFP is gonna bring us yet. We're just, staff giving their opinion, but that isn't an RFP, so we have to go out there and get that. Very Kathleen?
Through you to our CAO, when can we expect the financial report to come forward to this council as requested on May 20th?
You have a comment, Dave?
I don't know how to answer that.
Is that when you're asking for a date?
Sure, I mean, obviously, it's got to be included in our 2026 budget plan. So if that's the answer, then that's the answer, but at some point, we need something more than telling us that you went on to a mortgage calculator and found out how much a month it would be. Like, that's not sufficient.
Through your mayor, that's a little inappropriate, Councilor, you know. That's a direct insult towards staff. I don't appreciate that. That's an insult towards our interim treasurer. If you think that is the depth of the investigation,
Okay, that's enough.
that's not appropriate.
That's enough.
Sorry.
Thank you. I think we're getting off and, getting into stuff that we don't need to. I think, we are gonna have to make some tough decisions, and that's part of the game. And I think we have to respect each other when we sit at the table and not make those accusations. So I appreciate you, that doesn't happen again. Councilor O'Neill. Councilor Booth.
Yes, through your worship, I guess just a comment to make, and I'm seeing both sides here, but, you know, I do agree that hopefully we're looking at 3.75 million is the worst case scenario. And that Councillor Ainsworth is gonna come back and fundraise the whole thing, and we even have more money left over so we could do extras, but this is something that has gone on for many councils, not just back to 219. It went back all the way back to 211 or whatever, and if we keep putting it off, it just gets worse and worse. So I guess I'm looking forward that let's get the RFP out there, let's get the fundraising committee going, and hopefully, you know, we can get this down to something. And it's gonna be tough for all of us, because come budget time, we've got police OPP increases, conservation increases, taxpayers calling me to tell me enough is enough and they don't want any more high taxes. And it's like, we need to, as council, make some tough decisions. And I agree with what Councillor Ainsworth was saying. We're gonna have to look at each individual thing to say, what's the most important thing that we can do that's reasonable to the taxpayers? Yeah, we'd love to have $27 million to fix everything. Well, that's not gonna happen. So we need to take each issue separately, and right now, I think this is the best course. Is let's continue on. And like I said, I'm waiting for Councillor Ainsworth to come back and say he's got all the money tied up in a big bow by Christmas, and we're all good. Thank you.
Thank you. Pardon me, we have a mover and seconder. All in favor? Motion is carried. Development charge background study 2025 RFP award. As recommended, the council, the corporation of the township of Bell enact as follows. The council received report FIN 202510. Development charge background study 2005. 25. RFP award for information, and the RFP number 82025 development charge background study 2025 be awarded to Watson and Associates Economists Limited at a value of 38,628 plus HST. And that a bylaw be brought forward to council for council consideration to authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute an agreement for RFP number 082025. Could I get a mover and second? Moved by Councilor Booth, second by Deputy Mayor Stolberg. Any comment? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through your worship, I just wanted to congratulate staff on this report because usually my first two questions is when is it gonna be completed and how much did we approve for budget? And both of those were answered, so thank you very much, Aaron. I don't have any questions.
Anybody else have any questions for the treasurer or assistant treasurer or time allotted treasurer? And I'm not being insulting, so please don't take it anyway. Anybody else? No questions? Thank you, Aaron. All in favor? That's carried. Bylaws. Bylaw number 85, 2025, annual amended fees and charges bylaw number 782024. Bylaw 85, 2025, amended BL 78, 2024, planning fees and charges. It is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen Colvin act as follows. The bylaw 85, 2025, being a bylaw to amend fees and charges, bylaw number 78, 2024, to update planning fees, be given first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 12th day of November 2025. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor Booth. Any further comments? All in favor? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 86, 2025, to execute an agreement with Winslow Geronomy Limited. Bylaw 86, 2025, to execute an agreement with Winslow Geronomy Limited, 2025-1105. It is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen Colvin act as follows. The bylaw number 86, 2025, being a bylaw to execute an agreement with Winslow Geronomy Limited, be given a first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 12th day of November 2025. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stolberg, seconded by Councilor Booth. Any further discussions? All in favor? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 87, 2025, 2026, election alternative voting methods. It is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen Colvin act as follows. The bylaw number 87, 2025, being a bylaw to authorize alternative voting methods for the 2026 municipal and school board elections to be given first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 12th day of November 2025. Mover and seconded. Moved by Councilor O'Neill, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Discussion? Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
I just want to make the rest of you at the table aware, and maybe you were also hearing it, but there is some, people who are concerned about the security of electronic voting. So I have certainly reassured them that we now use this. This is our 4th time in the municipality and that it has always worked well. But I just wanted to, make people aware that that concern is circulating.
Thank you. Any other further questions? Comments? Thank you for the comment. It's something that, we're faced with no matter what system that you do. And I agree with you. We've had no problems in the past, and we should continue on with what we're doing. All in favor? That's carried. Bylaw number 2089, 205, for development charges, background study agreement. Bylaw 89, 2025, award development charge, background study. It's recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen Colvin act as follows. That bylaw 89, 205, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign an agreement between the township of Allen Colvin and Watson and Associates for the completion of a development charge background study, be given first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 12th day of November 2025. Hoover, Deputy Mayor Stolberg, Seconder, Councilor Booth. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Announcements of notices of motion. And, we'll be going into, don't see none, we'll go into a closed session. And the motion to move into closed session reads, that the regular council meeting of November 12th, 2025, move into a closed session under Municipal Act Sections 239, 2F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipal local board. And it's regarding a Curtis Point Road, Elmwood Civic Center long-term lease agreement. Can I get movers that? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, second by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Motion is carried. Reporting on closed, it is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Elm Calderwood accept the report of closed, that being council met in closed session and received two reports for information. Staff will provide direction and will proceeding as discussed. Mover to second. Moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stolberger. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Confirming bylaw, bylaw number 882025, confirming bylaw is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Alma Calderwood act as follows. The bylaw number 882025 being the bylaw to adopt the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on the 12th day of November 2025 and to authorize its execution be given a first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 12th day of November 2025. Mover and second. Moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any comments, further discussion, all in favor? Motion carried. Adjournment is recommended the council of the corporation and township of Alma Calderwood act as following at the regular council meeting held on November 12th, we adjourned at 12:30. Movers and secondary. Moved by Councilor O'Neill, seconded by Councilor Booth, all in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.